Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will discuss how we can create filters in Todoist. Filters are a premium feature which you need to pay for. Most of the other features on Todoist, for example, the normal tasks, creating projects, and so on, are free, but filters are a premium feature and you need to pay for that. So here's how much you need to pay for the premium version of Todoist, which is essentially £530 per year. In Egypt, that works down to a couple of pounds per month, and it's actually quite affordable. It's less than what you'd pay for a cup of coffee. In fact, if you buy 2 cups of coffee in some coffee stores in Egypt, you would probably pay more than the subscription fee per year for Todoist. Anyway, filters are, as I mentioned in my previous video about Todoist, customized searches. So essentially, if you want to search for something in specific, you create a filter for that. So these are my filters. These are all the filters I've defined. Some of them are predefined. The priority filters, assigned to me filter, assigned to others. But I've created the first couple of filters as well as the research projects filter. And let me go into one of these filters to show you how it's done. So when you go into a filter, so this is these are the items in the filter itself, the items that the custom search brought up. But if you edit the filter, you get a couple of entries. The first is the name of the filter. This is what you call it. The second is the actual search you need to do. And if you take a look here, I say at the @ at work and at computer. And the at computer and at work items, so these two items, this at computer item and the at work item, these are labels which I have created in my to-do application in Todoist. And what I'm telling the computer here is I want all of the items that have both labels. You see the and in the middle here? This and? The one in the middle. The ampersand sign. Hold on, let me highlight it. Let me highlight it. It doesn't seem to want this one. So this particular and is a logical operator which tells the computer, or tells Todoist, I apologize, that I need my items to have both labels at the same time, at work and at computer. And that's how you create custom filters. And if you remember again from my previous video, the @ sign, which is what you put in an email, like at Hotmail or at Yahoo, the @ sign tells the computer that you're working with a label, and the number sign or the hashtag tells the Todoist that you're talking about a project. So for example, let me show you an example of this. So for example, here is a filter which, no, this is at work. So let's do this. So here is an example of a filter that filters out all of the items underneath my personal project. It's like a directory, a personal directory, that have been labeled calls. So these are my personal calls. And the first item, which is personal, has a hashtag in front of it that tells Todoist that I'm referring to a project. And then the ampersand sign, which I showed you before, means that both conditions need to be true for the filter to work. And the second item is at calls. So I'm saying essentially anything underneath the personal project that has the at calls label will show up in this filter. And let me show you how that would look. There it is. See, these are the calls. If you take a look at the left side of the screen, beneath the task, you'll find the word calls. And if you take a look at the right side, there you see personal, and it has a color there. So personal is the project, the folder underneath this item was written, the list underneath which this item was written, and calls is a tag or a label that I have put to this item, put on this item to allow the computer to, or allow Todoist, I apologize, I keep saying computer, but it's essentially Todoist on any platform, computer or cell phone. So calls is a label that tells Todoist that this is a call. You can create any custom filter you like. See, for example, I have assigned to me. It's a filter. If you edit that, you see assigned to me. This is the syntax of Todoist. I would advise you to go ahead and access Todoist, the website, and look at the syntax, because it's very important to know the syntax. Assigned to is essentially syntax telling the Todoist to filter out things which are assigned to a specific person. Then you can write the name of the person in front. I've written me here, which is obviously me, but you can write the name of someone else whom you've assigned the task to. Similarly, let's take a look at this unlabeled, which is just no label. You write no label, which is essentially all of the tasks that have no label. The tasks I have with no labels are those in my shopping list and on my project lists, which are GTD projects, if you remember from my last video. So let's create a custom filter. Let us assume that the filter you want to create is about all of the items that are in your personal directory and are labeled with errands. So I need to have personal errands. I have a personal I have an errands label. If you take a look, this is the errand label, and I have a personal project. So this is a personal project, and this is the errands label. And what I want to do is I want to combine both to see what personal errands I have. So I click on add filter. I call it whatever. I'm going to call it test because I'm going to delete this filter as soon as I finish this video. I'm going to write test, and then I'm going to write my query. And my query is, I want this in my personal folder. So at personal tells it this is going to be something in my personal directory, personal list, or project. The term Todoist uses is project. Then I'm going to say and, because I want both conditions to happen, and I'm going to choose a label. So I'm going to choose and errands. And there it is. You've created a filter which will filter out or select the errands, the personal errands you have. And if you go to test now, take a look at this. You can click on tests. There you are. These are the personal errands I need to accomplish. So in that way, you can create any filter you like. I'm going to delete this filter because I don't really need it. The last thing I'm going to tell you before I finish this video, before closing this video, is if any of these filters are very useful to you and you use them quite often, you can have them stay at the top of the application by clicking on the filter, selecting the three dots to the right, edit filter, and then toggle on the favorite switch. If you toggle it on, the filter will appear at the top of your application. Let's take a look at the filters I've selected. So these are the filters I've selected to be at the top of my application. So if I go into any of them, for example, work calls, and if you select edit filter, you will notice that I've the favorite switch toggled on. In that way, you can create custom filters, and this is a very powerful feature and allows you to slice and dice your to-do list in whichever way you like. You can customize it so that you can see any item you like under any conditions. You can say, for example, personal at the beach, or for example, personal at the beach calls, if you would, for some weird reason, need to make calls while at the beach. You can make any customized search and have that appear as a filter, and then you can use the filter to retrieve the tasks underneath that specific category. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I use filters. And if it suits your workflow and if it's useful for you, I would advise you to consider subscribing to the premium version of Todoist in order to take advantage of this. It is, again, very affordable in Egypt. It is £530 per year, which is less than you would buy for dinner in a good restaurant in a day for a couple of hours. So it's quite affordable, and I believe in, if you translate that to dollars, it will be very, very, very cheap. The current exchange rate is 17.8, so you do the math. And that's it. Goodbye for now, and in my next video I will try to show you some more awesome features